Hi, and welcome to VIBEZ Daily. This is a daily devotional curated by VIBEZ Church to help you practice the way of Jesus and be all that God has called you to be. You have joined us for our year-long series titled Devoted. Acts 2:42 tells us that the followers of Jesus were devoted to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, to breaking of bread, and to prayer. This podcast was created to provide context and commentary for what you read each day. Just before our friends begin discussing today's reading, we want to invite you not only for fellowship, but for prayer as well. We have created the VIBE Daily Chat Group to offer you fellowship and a community where you can state your observations, ask questions about the reading or the podcast. You can join us by downloading the VIBEZ Church app in your favorite app store. Click Join the Conversation and join us today. And finally, we hope that you can join us for prayer. Prayer happens Monday through Friday, and more information on that can be found on the VIBEZ Church app under prayer. Now, let's begin our conversation on today's reading.
Hi, welcome to VIBEZ Daily Podcast. You have reached us again on day 127 of our series called Devoted, where we are reading through the Bible cover to cover and just uncovering what the Lord has to show us and say to us. And so we have made it quite a ways. Yeah. I'm here with my sister, my friend, Meya. I say hi, Meya.
Hey.
And she's going to join me today in our topic and our discussion of 2 Chronicles. We'll be going through 2 Chronicles chapters 1 through 4.
Yes.
And before we start, we always have a question at the beginning of the week.
Okay.
Our question is, what is your favorite Bible resource?
That's a good one. I think I'd have to say the Bible Project.
I knew it. I could have guessed that one.
I love them so much. Maybe I'm childish, but I love how they break everything down, like with the cartoons and all that. And they're from Portland, and that's where I grew up. So of course I'm biased.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I love how they break things down. Just tell me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So I love that. Yeah.
No, I love Bible Project.
They are the best.
The animation and like you said, how they like piece things together. There are times where I'm reading through and I'm like, no, I need Bible Project.
I do that. Yeah. Usually and with Chronicles I did as well. I'm like, let me see what they talk about.
I did it with the Kings.
Yes. What about you? What's your favorite?
My favorite so far right now, I don't know if I say it's my favorite, but maybe because I use it a lot, it's going to be one of my favorites, is BibleHub.com.
Oh, yeah.
I love
Bible Hub.
Right?
Too.
I like Bible Hub.
They have an app, right? I think I have that.
Do they have the app?
I'm pretty sure they do.
I might need to check that
regroup.
out. Yeah. After that, I might have to download that because it allows me to, like you said, like look at the original language sometimes very easily. So like they have this little lexicon tab and like push that. And it's like, okay, so what is this like actually saying? And they also have like commentary and they have a whole lot there. And so especially when I'm on my phone, I don't have like a study Bible in front of me. Super helpful. So.
Yeah, and some of the study Bibles are so huge. Like it's nice to have it there. So
exactly.
If they don't have an app, I gotta look to see what I'm talking about. So,
don't worry. Yeah. Don't worry at all because I'm just in the wind on some things. But awesome. I love it. So here we are. 2 Chronicles.
Ooh, this is a meaty one, huh?
My goodness. So we are continuing the journey through the Chronicles. Remember, it's just still one scroll, but just for scroll length purposes.
Yes.
That's the word.
Mm-hmm. Right, that one.
They're broken into two. And so we are now looking at the story of Solomon. Solomon has taken over. David, our beloved King David, has died and passed away in 1 Chronicles at the end of chapter 29. And so here we are, starting off with Solomon worshiping at Gibeon and praying for wisdom and giving some things. What are your thoughts?
This was humbling, really, because a lot of times I feel like we pray for the wrong things and we're worried about the wrong things. You know, Solomon was like, hey, first of all, how awesome is it that the Lord was like, hey, you know what? Ask me what you want.
What you want?
Now, I probably would have asked for something that wasn't for the people. It was for me. But the fact that he asked so beautifully for wisdom, so that he could, not just for himself, but so he could, rule the people.
Yeah.
So God was like, I'll do you one better. what if I just give you all of this?
Give you
and
some
riches and, we still are talking about him in the wisdom of Solomon to this day. People that are not even believers know about him. So,
exactly.
Wow, that blew me away.
No.
And I was like, I think I should regroup.
Have you ever asked the Lord? I've asked the Lord, I'm like, okay, Lord, you gonna ask me?
No, I just ask.
Oh, Lord, you gonna ask me what I want to? Because I'm gonna say wisdom first, because I'm gonna take his lead and I'm gonna follow it up with
something
else.
What about that beach house? No.
Come on, beach house. Come on, Aruba.
Lord, come on,
somebody.
Come on, Irvine.
I'm not mad at that at all. And that is so funny. Yeah. But yeah, I do. I love it. And he says, give me wisdom and knowledge. And I do. But he said, because this was in your heart. I love what the Lord says in 11? In verse 11. God answered Solomon. He says, because this was in your heart. And I just think that is a big thing, like a heart posture, right?
Like, he knows our heart.
Yeah, so we could say some things, but even if our heart's wrong,
we know.
Yeah, he knows what's up. So I love that he said that, but then again, like he said, that he still honored him.
Yeah.
And the Lord showed up and showed out.
That's I wrote that. Look, right there.
Did you?
God shows out. I promise.
Get out. That is literally on your paper.
Yes. He showed out for sure. He was like, the riches, all of this stuff, I'll give it to you because your heart is pure. Yeah. And I think that that's a good example.
Yeah.
He modeled that beautifully because sometimes we have to check our hearts before we go to God with things.
Yeah. So. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And that's, I think, is even encouraging if we're like going up against things that we feel like it's too hard for us or like too overwhelming, that like God is eager and willing to like give us what we need to do the right thing. Like you said, especially for others.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
Anything else in chapter 1?
Let's see. I think what I wrote down. Chapter 1. No, that's chapter 2.
Okay. Chapter. Let's move on. We can move on. Okay. Yeah. What's up?
So when King Solomon sent the message to King Hiram, I wrote that in my Bible too. He did not ask. He was like, I need this, I need that in this amount, and I'm gonna need you to give it to me. And then the king wrote back, sure, you're God's people, so of course I'll come. And I was like reading this, like he's not going to say please and thank you. He didn't have to, because that was the Lord speaking through him. Yeah. So what was your take on that?
Yeah, it's so funny. I love that too, because he did just lay out what he wanted, but the response, like you said, of the king was kind of like, because the Lord, and this is in verse 11 of chapter 2, because the Lord loves his people, he has made you king over them. And I'm just like, oh yeah, that's deep. Like that's deep for sure.
Yeah.
Like the Lord, or that he can even see that like he has a wise son. Like how that even spoke wisdom to him.
Yeah.
Was interesting to me.
Yeah, and he could have, as a king in his own right, he could have been like, who are you? Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
But he knew that, and he knows that Solomon is, humble, and he could be like this and that, but he's not. So that spoke volumes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love also that he has this guy that he sent, Hiram Abi, in chapter 13. Yeah. I'm sorry, not chapter, verse 13. It reminded me so much of the guy in Exodus. Was it Exodus or Leviticus? Numbers? One of those. Okay, one of those first 5 books. Yeah. When they built the tabernacle, and they had that one skilled person that came, and like the Lord, it was like the Lord had like gifted him in this way, and he was skilled to work with the gold and he was a seamstress, like he was doing everything. And I was just like, oh, it's so awesome to see that like the Lord utilizes different people, and that we like all need each other, and that he gifts us specifically for the things that like he wants us to accomplish. So
and it's like the Lord, he knows, like he probably made him all of his life for that purpose. That purpose right there. So just that he can come in and do what the Lord needed him to do is beautiful. And
the willingness too, right? Because sometimes I think we like have these great skills and great assets, but then we think it's for like something else, right? And we be using it for all these other things. Yeah, no, absolutely. Use it for all these other things, and you know our desires, but like just to be ready and willing with your gifting to be doing something for the Lord was really good.
Yeah, that's humility.
Yeah.
Another thing that stood out to me, like in 14, right after that, like this Second Chronicles has some of the most detailed verses of all time. He told him, okay, Huram Abi, I believe that's how you pronounce it. His mother is from the tribe of Dan in Israel. Like, he broke it down. Like, I want you to know who this guy is. Yeah. He's my people. I'm vouching for him with his lineage and all that. That was just like, I was like, wow, they got really specific with this. So, go ahead.
No, keep going.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
That's one thing I love about the Chronicles too, though. Is like although it's repeating a lot of what's in First and Second Kings, we do get a lot of these extra details, like that little nuggets that weren't mentioned before, and like little extra insight. And so I do love that. Like it is. I think I mentioned this before. Like in some of these other books, that like it just gave layers and layers and layers to it.
And it makes it more rich and more meaningful, because sometimes you'll get some genealogy or whatever. I have to admit that sometimes I like kind of gloss over those. Yeah. But now it's like weaving together, like that's for the tribe that this person is from, and that's why he mentioned. Got it. So
exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good.
This is kind of a random question, but I know that we've seen this before, and I'm sorry, I don't remember. I know that it was in the Old Testament, but this is in verse 13, 14 still. Yeah, 14. When they mention he can work with purple, blue, and scarlet cloth and fine linen. Those are the colors that are mentioned throughout. Do you happen to know what the significance of those colors are? Or
I don't like individually. I don't. All I do know that it spoke of like riches and royalty, right? Okay. That like even just how they had to use some of the sea urchins and stuff, and they were things that they had to find to like make that purple and that crimson. Like it was really like rare. Yeah. And so it was more so like for the elite who had those.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you. I always wondered about that.
Yeah. Okay. Other than that, we're going to go to the Bible Project.
They can tell us. What is this crimson?
Come through Bible Project. Yeah. Come on. So here we are, chapter 3 then, I guess. Yeah. So he's actually building it. So he's requested the stuff. Now he's going to actually build it. Any thoughts on this elaborate place that he is making?
I just had to think. Now, we know he is wise. We know that he has all of this stuff from God, but this is detailed. Like, I'm just, so what I'm kind of wondering, like, when he says, okay, this is what I need from the previous king, the other king, Aram? What is his name?
Hiram.
Yeah. So when he asked for that stuff, that's a lot of stuff that he asked for. So I'm wondering, like, how long did that take? Just to even get the stuff. Yeah. And to get the people, like, they didn't have Uber. I mean, they had to get how they got, like a caravan and stuff. So
for real.
How long did that take? And then the building of it and the specificity. I wrote that in my Bible, specific. It's just so, like, that had to just be from God. Like 7.5 feet long, and the cherubs or the cherubim, like, the detail on this was just mind blowing. Yeah. Like, what like, wow, like, that's really fascinating to me. Like 20 ounces, like, with the nails, 20 ounces of gold for a nail. Wow. Yeah, that blew me away.
I mean, y'all have money.
That's big money.
What I loved about it, because like you said, this whole, like, the time that it took. Now, I love that. Where was this? This was back in First Chronicles. I feel like it's here. But King David even started preparing stuff for the temple. Okay, so chapter 22. That like he was like in chapter 22 verse 5. He says, Solomon my son is young and inexperienced, and the house is to be built for the Lord must be exceedingly magnificent. of fame and glory throughout all the lands. I will therefore make preparation for it. So David provided materials in great abundance before his death. And so what I love, like you said, though, not only has King David prepared materials for it, but Solomon has too. He just asked for all this stuff from here. So I'm like,
this is a masterpiece. Literally.
This is so much stuff.
This is a lot of stuff.
And like you say, it's so huge. And some of it reminds me of the tabernacle too, and some of these things that they put in it. But like you said, like you still had all these people working. Thousands of people. Because like even in, we skipped over in chapter 2. I know. Look at us moving. But in chapter 2, he found 153,000 people. Says in chapter 17. Yeah, let me read it because I'm just like babbling. But in chapter 2, verse 17 says, Then Solomon counted all the resident aliens who were in the land of Israel after the census of them. Then David, his father, had taken. They're found to be 153,600. 70,000 of them he's assigned to bear burdens, like he's the workers, right? Yeah. To 80,000 to quarry the hill country, and 3,600 as overseers to make the people work. And so I'm just like, you got over 100,000 people working on this project. You got all this stuff, and it still took them like over a decade.
Yeah. Did it take 20 years once?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that I remembered that, but
yes.
But even how long did the census take? Like you don't hear like. Hello, I sent a pigeon over. Like, I mean, this was, and I think that I'm stressing the length of time because I am impatient.
Yeah,
I don't like to wait.
Yeah,
if it's gonna take a long time, I'm like, what's a shortcut? And the fact that he was just committed to this, truly committed to even like kind of mastermind all of this stuff. That just. It humbles me. I don't want to wait for the microwave. 3 minutes.
Listen,
what? Like
I'll be looking at the package like this corn cannot take 5 to 6 minutes.
It can't
to steam.
Nope. Or if our Uber Eats or our Grubhub is a little bit late, they were supposed to be no tip for you. Just kidding. I tip all the time. But it's just like we are such instant. Yeah. Instacart, Instagram, like everything is so instant. But can you imagine?
Yeah.
When he was little, he was hearing about this.
Yeah.
And now, wow.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Like you said, I mean, even I believe it was like back in like the Kings, when the Kings was going over Solomon's like story. It was saying that like the King Hiram was like, yeah, so I'll have my people cut the trees, make them into rafts, send them to you, and then we unassemble it. And I'm like, we gotta make a raft out the trees first before I can get them to you. That's a lot of time.
I'm looking for no assembly required kind of pieces of furniture.
No, come on now.
Imagine?
Yeah, if it says assembly required, I'm rethinking.
I can't.
I'm rethinking my order.
Or TaskRabbit. Hire somebody to do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is hilarious though, but very, very real. Very real. So yes, he builds this elaborate, massive, I mean, at first I was thinking like, nah, it couldn't have been that great, but we're talking like
what does it say
feet. What version of the Bible do you have?
I have NLT.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, like even just the length of it in verse 3. Yeah. Can you say it? Because
I'll read the whole thing if that's okay.
Yeah, read that.
These are the dimensions Solomon used for the foundation of the temple of God, using the old standard of measurement. It was 90 feet long, 30 feet wide. The entry room at the front of the temple was 30 feet wide, running across the entire width of the temple, and 30 feet high.
Come on.
Yeah, he overlaid the inside with pure gold.
Pure gold. Balling.
Not on a budget.
I'm over here talking about my little 10 by 10 by 13 room. Like, listen.
I'm on IKEA. Like, he had pure gold in the inside.
Yeah.
So that wow. And can you imagine also? It's not like they had cranes and,
right.
This was those laborers that he found. That was them. They put their backs into it. So, yeah.
Exactly. Like you said, we didn't have all of, even like you said, the lifts and forklifts and all.
Yeah.
Somebody was carrying this. Homeboy was carrying it
On his back.
Yeah.
His back was messed up after
all
this.
the way. All the way. We got sciatica. Yeah. All the way.
Sciatica. I love it.
But yeah, okay, so it's elaborate. And now moving on to even more plush is the inside that chapter 4 goes into. The furnishings.
Yeah.
And once again, talk about like, you remember MTV Cribs? Like,
yeah. They're gold. What? Who was it? Somebody had gold faucets and stuff, and we're like, oh, wow. No. They've been doing it since the Old Testament. Solomon was like, hold my glass of water while I just...
Solomon up there looking like
peasants.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they had all the things. Like you said, I feel like it even said at one point, I don't know if it's like this chapter or later on in this book, but like gold, he made gold so plentiful that like silver was like nothing, like stones.
I can't remember. They were like, well, silver, come on, man.
Who has silver?
We got 24 carats.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just so much like just opulence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think I need to like reel it in and not lose fact that this is for God. This is, this is what they were doing because he is worthy. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like he was just trying to show off. This is not for him. This is for the Lord.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that they have brought all of these riches, right? And invested all of this for the Lord's house, which is, like you said, it's so key.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do it for me.
Yeah. And most people would have. Like, okay, I'm going to give you this, but some of these gold statues, I'm put them in the house.
Yeah, exactly, for myself. So, yeah, so it's definitely shows, like you said, their heart posture of going above and beyond.
Yeah. And
not like you said, not cheating the Lord of anything.
Yeah. So, chapter 4, verse around 5-ish.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things, they were talking about like a basin that flared out like a cup that resembled a water lily blossom.
Yeah.
It could hold 16,500 gallons of water. First of all, water wasn't even super plentiful,
So who measured this?
Who measured it, and who was putting the water? What? Where were you getting this water?
That's a lot. That's why you needed 150,000.
That's why people's backs were messed up.
That's why you need all these people. Because we had assembly lines happening, passing this water. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a lot. Like you said, I mean, I'm thinking about this guy that they brought in, this Hermaby, and how he made these. Like it says in verse 16, like these pots, these shovels, these forks, these equipments, like he made stands for stuff. Like he made, the 12 oxen and the stands for underneath the 12 oxen, 400 pomegranates. Like 400 pomegranates that you made, like of gold. Like you have made all of these things. How much time was that? How much that have taken? And
he made stuff that I take for granted, like shovels. Like what?
For real.
Wow. Like he was an artisan for sure. Like this is he was putting in work, like for real.
Yeah. And then to know that this place eventually gets abandoned, right? Neglected, like other guys are placed in here. Ugh. Other like nations come and ransack it and strip it and take the gold even off the doors.
That's rough.
And then at the end to even know that like this temple gets burned. Jeez. Like all I could think about when I was reading that was like, wow. Like all that hard work, all that beauty
That planning.
The planning.
Decades.
Just gone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's really rough.
So as we wrap up, do you have any other thoughts on this beautiful temple?
I think that we've deep dived in, and it's just, I'm still in awe. Like I don't think, like I have a visual in my head of what this, and I know that my mind can't even grasp how it looks. So yeah, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. That concludes our day, and we'll see you back tomorrow.
All right. Bye. Thank you for joining us for the VIBEZ Daily podcast. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or download our favorite, the VIBEZ Church app. Visit vibes.church/devoted for additional episodes, notes, details, and the latest merch. Join us next time